All right,
so I know when to start.
you just hold on to your panties, all right? Because I got something new planned.
Ah, shit.
All right, we are live,
Is
my
it
friend.
gonna be?
Oops, got a case of the burpsies. Mama's case of the poopsies.
Namaste.
The heck happened? Bro Fest Productions presents the Playmakers with Big J and the Beard.
Hello, folks, and thank you all for joining in. This is the Playmakers with Big J and the Beard coming to you live Friday night pre-conference championship week here on Sunday. So we have a lot to get to tonight. So without further ado, I'd like to bring in my partner in crime, my brother, and a Pisces, Big J.
Actually, I'm a Libra. Thank you very much. I like long walks on the beach and nice butts. But anyways, how you doing, ladies and germs? We are. This is Friday, the 22nd of the 21st of 2000, and we have ourselves a slate full, a plethora, if you will, of NFL topics today. As we kick this thing off, we're going to start off with some big news that happened earlier in the week. Cover your microphone when you cough, please, sir. That's rookie mistake. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen, for that rookie mistake by my bro over there. But let's start off with a little breaking news that happened earlier in the week. We found out that Phillip Rivers is calling it a career. I was pretty. I don't want to say that I was shocked. I was a little surprised, though. I thought he would stick it out another year, but I think he probably realized that he was on his way out at Indy, up there in Indy, and but he's got Hall of Fame credentials. He never made it to the big game, but he's one of those guys that I think he'll be right there as to one of the greats to not ever win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. I mean, you look at some of the teams he was a part of. You had the running game with LT. He had Antonio Gates for I want to say close to 8 or 9 years when Gates was there. An All-Pro, another Hall of Fame caliber tight end. They had really good teams. In the they had their fair share of runs, the AFC Championship game once, a couple AFC divisional rounds, losing to the Patriots a couple times. But yeah, Phillip Rivers, when he was when he was in the then San Diego Chargers, wasn't a big fan of the guy. But you had to respect the way he played the game. He was a fierce competitor. One of those guys that like to talk a lot of trash. But you talk to a lot of his teammates. Everybody respected him. He had a good mind for the game. And like we mentioned last week with, Drew Brees and, Tom Brady, you got the guys like that, respect the game, do everything right by the shield. And it's definitely sad to see, see another guy from that '05 draft class finally retire. Ben Roethlisberger, the only remaining quarterback from that '05 draft class, Big J.
And we'll get to Roethlisberger momentarily as well. But you talk about Phillip Rivers being one of the all-time trash talkers. This is a guy that you'd never hear say a cuss word. It's actually quite comical when he gets mad and he says "dadgummit." It's quite comical, but you got to respect you got to respect a guy who has morals and can talk trash with the best of them. And as you can see here, Philip Rivers has put up great numbers. You look at the 1983 draft class, all three of those quarterbacks, arguably the best the game has ever seen. And then you look at the 2004 quarterback draft class, like you mentioned, Beard, that Roethlisberger is the only one left there. But you look at Philip Rivers' numbers. I mean, he's 53,000 passing yards and 368 touchdowns, 172 picks. I mean, that's a pretty impressive resume. But the biggest one right there at the bottom is completion percentage, 64 and a half, is pretty impressive.
Yeah, and you have your fair share of people that still hold to the standard of Hall of Famers and not getting Super Bowl victories. Um, as a true testament of that, I think the NFL is the hardest sport to become a champion. I mean, you look at all the greats that have come before. You got your Dan Marinos, you got your Jim Kellys. You had Elway there in that conversation for quite a while. Um, it is extremely difficult to get to the top of that mountain and stay competitive every year. But Philip Rivers always did his part. He always, he always seemed to put his teams in good positions to win. He was known for errant throws and turning the ball over here, last handful of years. But I think that comes with age. You don't have quite the zip on the ball like you usually do. Your mobility is limited, which Philip was never quite mobile. But still, I think at the end of the day, you look at those numbers. He is, for sure a first ballot Hall of Famer in my opinion. He's a great competitor, and yeah, it's definitely going to be sad moving forward. Not having a guy of his caliber out there on the field.
Yeah, I tell you what, you look at those three guys there on the left. Only one of those three, arguably that greatest quarterback draft class of all time, and only one of those quarterbacks has a Super Bowl ring, which is hard to fathom. And you look at the right there, and of course, only one doesn't. And obviously the biggest thing, it's football's a team sport, and the biggest thing that helped Eli and Ben Roethlisberger out was their defense. They had really good defense, but what, those quarterbacks, they made plays when they needed to in the Super Bowl in the biggest games. Roethlisberger, you see that play all the time in the AFC, I think it was the divisional game where Jerome Bettis fumbled the ball going into the end zone, and the Colts recovered it, and the Colts were going to score and win the game. Um, and Roethlisberger made a shoelace tackle and brought him down. That ended up being that ended up keeping the Steelers alive, not knowing what was going to happen. But then they went to Denver and beat the heck out of the Broncos. But and Eli Manning, he made that, and of course that throw in the Super Bowl against the Cardinals for Roethlisberger.
Yeah.
That was one of the most impressive throws I've seen. And then Eli Manning, him too. I can list a couple throws in those Super Bowls. The one to Mario Manningham in between, I think it was 30, 35, 40 yards downfield in between two defenders, and it couldn't have been placed any better. And then, obviously a little bit of luck with the David Tyree catch. And then you've got the Plexico burst in the corner of the end zone to knock off the undefeated Patriots at that time. So these quarterbacks, they've all made really good plays when it mattered most. And it's a shame that they all don't get to enjoy the thrill of victory in the Super Bowl. But that just goes to show you that it's a team sport, and you can't win it by yourself. Elway got the Broncos to numerous Super Bowls basically by himself, and it showed in the Super Bowls when they would get killed because teams that make the Super Bowl and win Super Bowls have a team that gets them there, not just one or two players. So, anyways, so yeah, it's definitely he's got a lot to hang his head, to hang his hat on, and obviously he's going out with his head up high. But unfortunately, he's one of those guys. Even though he was a bitter rival for so many years, you hate to see a guy that's been solid as like he's been and not actually even reach the Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly right.
And then moving on to our next topic, Drew Brees calling it a career as he will leave New Orleans. And you can definitely see if you watch that championship game, a lot of emotion there on the field. And of course, Drew didn't look like the Drew Brees that we're all used to, all of us are accustomed to seeing. Um, but so it was definitely a touching moment when he was walking off the field, and you see him turn around and look back for the last time with that uniform on, looking at the stadium, and so you kind of, it's you can tell it's one of those guys. He's one of those guys where he wants to keep playing, but he knows he can't.
Yeah, and that was the big thing too, because the general public weren't really aware of all the injuries Breeze had this year, and it wasn't really made aware, publicly, for everybody to know until his wife Brittany, um, you know, uh, I believe it was via Twitter, made a comment that he was playing, uh, playing with a few injuries this year. But I mean,
Yeah,
it just goes to show you. I mean, Drew Brees did it the right way. He kind of got a bad deal in San Diego, with that shoulder injury. But obviously, they had already, they were already moving on to Phillip Rivers when that happened. And just like you mentioned last week, Big J, that he wanted to go to New Orleans because it was right after Katrina, Hurricane Katrina, and he wanted to make a positive impact for that community, as well as the fan base that has been with New Orleans through thick and thin. It's been a lot more thin prior to him coming to New Orleans. Um, but I mean, a great group of fans, loyal fans, and I had mentioned last week, last Sunday, you could see him and Jameis Winston talking on the sidelines. Actually, found a video of it shortly after where they slowed it down and you kind of read his lips, and he told Jameis Winston, "This is your team now." And I mean, it really makes you feel bad. Watching that game live. Obviously, I was rooting for the Saints. I'm a big fan of Drew Brees. I think he's a really good guy. But I mean, I was legitimately sad. When I knew that game was out of reach, and I mean, he battled through a lot this year to make it back, and Taysom Hill kept him in the you know kept him in the running for those 6 weeks that he was out, and a touching moment there. When all the fans were gone and just a handful of people were in there, and Tom Brady came back out there with Breeze and his kids, and played catch with them. And Tom Brady gets a bad rap too. A lot of people don't like Tom, given that he's just the amount of success that he's had. I think brings out a lot of haters. But I mean that there also just goes to show what kind of what kind of guy Tom Brady is. We know him and Breeze were very good friends, and not every day, you'll have a quarterback like that, go throw a touchdown pass to your son. So it
and
was really
here's actually
really
the
hard.
video you're talking about there. You're referencing there, Rocco.
Right? Yeah, yeah, I see that. Yeah, it was really heartwarming to see that, and another one of those dying breed of pocket passers, true passers. That even though he didn't have the height as a normal quarterback, he still did it pretty damn good.
Yeah, you bet. And I also kind of feel bad for Jameis Winston because that team's not going to be his. It's going to be Taysom Hill's. Moving on. So story.
Well, honestly,
Yeah.
just want to test on that. I honestly don't agree with that. I think Jameis Winston is going to be the guy this coming year, just solely for the fact that I still think they're going to utilize Taysom Hill like they have in the past for the last handful of years. But I believe with that right system, I think Sean Payton is going to turn Jameis Winston around and almost be, not a blueprint clone of Drew Brees, but somebody close to those abilities. I mean, Winston has thrown for, close to 35 to 4,000 yards every year in his career when he's in Tampa. But, the biggest downfall has been his turnovers. And I think with the right coaching staff and the right people around him, I think next year you'll see Jameis Winston flourish.
All right. Well, that'll be interesting to keep an eye on heading into next year. So
Hmm.
we discussed it a little bit last week. about Ben Roethlisberger's future. The Pittsburgh Steelers fired their offensive coordinator, and I honestly thought that Big Ben was going to be done there in Pittsburgh, because honestly, that's like starting over. But he's true to his team, he's true to his city, and that's why the Steelers, all the diehard Steeler fans, love this guy. But he is going to stick around for another year in Pittsburgh, and we have some other Pittsburgh Steelers news coming up here shortly. But Big Ben, I think next year is going to be his last year, and he's another one of those guys. We already talked about it with Phillip Rivers, the '04 draft class, and here's another guy who's been a consummate professional. He's had some off the field issues when he was younger, but he's been one of those guys who's just a solid quarterback. He's always there for his team. He plays injured all the time, but he's a tough SOB, and you got to have a lot of respect for that quarterback there in Pittsburgh, for all the success he's had, and it hasn't even been the same receivers, and he hasn't even been able to rely on his defense like he had early on. But yeah, Big Ben staying in Pittsburgh to me is big news.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think it's good. I don't know if that necessarily makes Pittsburgh a contender next year. Obviously they need to work. They need to work on their offensive line and the running game. Be more so like the Pittsburgh of old. We're going to run it down your throats, make them load the box, and then we're going to chuck it downfield. But also just another note about Big Ben. When he won his first Super Bowl at the age of 23, he was the youngest starting quarterback to win a Super Bowl at that age. And I mean, you could see it from day one. Very competitive guy. Got that nickname Big Ben just because of his stature, and he was extremely difficult to bring down. I remember watching videos of him. When he's in the pocket, he's got two guys draped around his legs, and he somehow gets out of there. But he's always been a fun player to watch. Always been a fan of him as well. I always like to see those veteran players stay in one place, finish their career with the team that drafted them. I think that's the way it should be done. Mad props to Big Ben for staying there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and Miami of Ohio. Who would have thought this kid coming out of that smaller university would have such the impact on a professional team like he has. Let's go on to Deshaun Watson here. Deshaun Watson, he's that's all you hear about is Deshaun Watson, and where's he going to end up next year? Chances are he's going to refuse to play in Houston, which is really a shame. The Texans are paying him a lot of money, and I don't even know what the beef is all about. I know he was upset that he wasn't part of the GM hiring there in Houston. Which I can understand that, but I don't understand him wanting out. So there's got to be something deeper than what I know about.
Yeah, and all you're really hearing is the way I understood it is that the Houston Texans organization is trying to reach out to Deshaun Watson, and he hasn't returned any of their calls. Is what I saw today. Now, my personal opinion on this whole deal is, Deshaun, yeah, you weren't included in this discussion for the GM, but Jesus, you guys do not have a head coach yet. Now, a lot of people are speculating that Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs, is the front runner for that job. But obviously, they can't make any. They can't. Make any advances towards him. Until the Chiefs are eliminated from the playoffs or after the Super Bowl. However this weekend turns out. But at the end of the day, Deshaun Watson needs to put on his big boy pants, stop pouting, and just get back out there and start playing football again. It's getting to be the point where it's just flat out ridiculous. This guy's entitled to make how many millions of dollars to play football, and he gets pardon my language, but he gets butthurt for not getting included with the GM which who the hell cares? You're a quarterback in the NFL. You've been in the league for what, 4 years, and you want to be included in a GM position. Now I can understand if you're a veteran quarterback, say been in the league 10 years, a good decade, you have a good mind for the game, you know what goes in, uh, to a football team. But Deshaun Watson, is still wet behind the ears, so he's still extremely young. So the fact that he's, throwing this fit about him not being included, my personal opinion, I think it's ridiculous. And if he's going to act like this, I'm all in favor of Houston trying to unload him. However, trying to find somebody that wants to take on that amount of salary, good luck.
Well, that and on top of it, I mean, I think this is a bad look for him. He's supposed to be a leader for that team, for that organization, and honestly, unless you're absolutely desperate for a quarterback, that's what would stand out to me the most if I was a GM looking for possibly picking this guy up or trading for him. I'd be like, this guy has an attitude problem. Is the way I see it. Yet again, maybe there's something deeper that we don't know about, but to be ignoring phone calls and trying to distance himself from the organization. That doesn't show leadership to me. But that being said,
Right.
the argument is which one of these teams, and obviously there's more than just these, but what team do you think suits Deshaun Watson the best?
Well, honestly, looking at it, I think it's a good possibility for that for San Francisco. I know we had talked about that a couple weeks ago.
Right.
I think given the offense that Shanahan runs, Kyle Shanahan, I think that would be the most legitimate scheme for him to kind of slide on into and kind of not miss a beat. But I mean, all these other teams they're in dire need of quarterbacks. If you're going to look at the fact that if Deshaun Watson does have a attitude problem, or he has the problem of answering to answering to the next level, what's a better place than New England? Give Coach Belichick a few minutes with him, and I'm sure he could put him in his place. I mean, honestly, I think San Francisco, if there isn't any more to this Houston debacle that's going on now, if Watson is, as immature as he's acting, I think New England would be the best fix to maybe help him grow up a little bit. But I mean, any of these landing spots, minus Denver, I don't think he would work out in Denver at all.
Right.
My personal opinion, for many reasons. I think we're barking up the wrong tree there. And then also Miami. You got Tua, Tagovailoa, still, a young guy, unproven, but I think he has a lot of potential. Jets, possess the number 2 pick in the draft. Whether they're going to take Justin Fields or exactly what they're going to do with that second overall pick, we don't know.
Yeah.
Chicago is another one that I talked about earlier as well as a good landing spot. But honestly, if you're going to look at systems and the way the offense is run and then play to Watson's strengths, I think San Francisco is the best bet.
Yeah, I agree with that. The other one that I think would be a good fit would be the Jets. They haven't hired a new head coach yet, but
Yeah, they have.
oh, have they? Okay, so the Jets having a new head coach, and starting from scratch, that wouldn't be a bad thing to go to do there. But they still might want to give Sam Darnold another year to see where they're at with him.
Right. And I think they would be wise on that. I don't know why, so many people out there, want immediate results. I mean, it's only, it's only human. All the fans want immediate results, and they don't realize that there is a drastic learning curve jumping from college to pro. You look at Sam Darnold, you look at Josh Allen, prime example. of that learning curve, and it's going to take 3 to 5 years is a good time frame. So Sam Darnold's going into his third year this coming year. I still think it's way too early to make that call on Sam Darnold. But yeah, the Jets would also be a strong candidate for Watson as well.
Yeah,
Plus,
absolutely.
they have the cap space for him as well.
Yeah. All right, and then let's go. Let's head back to Pittsburgh here. Some more big news that happened earlier in this week. Uh, Actually, let's take a step back here. The one of the questions after Philip Rivers retired is who's going to be the Colts quarterback. So obviously they have a spot open. I can almost guarantee that Deshaun Watson is not going to head up there. But who do you like for the Indianapolis Colts to head their future? I mean, there's rumors that they could possibly reach out to Andrew Luck again to see if he wants to play, because the reason why he left, they fixed the reason why he left, which is that offensive line. And, so I could see them reaching out to him. But is there anybody that stands out to you to head up to Indianapolis?
Well, I mean, I wasn't aware of that Andrew Luck thing until you just mentioned it, but I think that's a very good idea. I think Luck is, what would he be? He retired at 28.
Something like
So
that,
he'd be right around, I would say, 30 years old. So, I mean, a good, decent 6 years left, maybe. Obviously, I mean, we don't know what kind of football shape he's in
Right.
right now. I mean, I'm sure he's still active and still working out. I mean, he's probably not far off of getting back into football shape.
Yeah.
There has been some speculations on Mitchell Trubisky. Possibly on the move out of Chicago. I think that's a possibility for the Colts. I think Frank Reich could do a lot of good for a quarterback, a young up and comer such as Trubisky. So I think that would be good. I'm not entirely sure. Do the Colts still have Jacoby Brissett? They
Actually,
do, right?
I was just looking that up, as a matter of fact, because I don't know if they actually still have Jacoby Brissett. I was even wondering that. I do know. Let's see. In last year's draft, they took Jacob Eason.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I forgot
So,
about him.
so I'm not sure if Jacoby Brissett is still there, because I was even wondering the same thing. But yeah, Jacob Eason was Philip Rivers. Uh, oh, actually, I take that back. Jacoby Brissett is set to be a free agent, and he is the current backup. But under contract, Jacob Eason is the only one the Colts have, which they drafted him in the fourth round in the draft last year. So, obviously you have Brissett and you have Jacob Eason. If they re-sign Brissett, then they'll at least have somebody. If they don't happen to have anybody else, I don't know how quality of a quarterback Jacob Eason is. I didn't even know he played for them, in all honesty. Um,
Mm,
but yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens there in Indy with their quarterback situation.
yeah, absolutely.
All right, now let's head back to Pittsburgh, like I said before. And hi, Frank. Frank right there on the screen. uh, News out of Pittsburgh is Dwayne Haskins, who was released by the Washington football team, has been signed by the Pittsburgh Steelers. So he will obviously be right behind Big Ben, and we'll definitely have a veteran quarterback to kind of guide him in the right direction and tell him, if you're going to have a bunch of hookers over at your house, don't make it public. Just do
Yeah.
it in the bathroom. Like, make sure she's knocked out and do it in the bathroom.
Right.
That's
Exactly
how
right.
Big Ben does.
Well, this this signing of Dwayne Haskins, and this all goes back to going back to 2020 and what a screwed up year it was. But this question goes to you, Big J, because I honestly don't know the answer. I mean, we can speculate all we want. Do you think the fact that Dwayne Haskins is a black quarterback in the National Football League, Do you think that played into his signing in Pittsburgh?
Honestly, I don't. I think that uh, I think he has a lot of talent, and he showed glimpses of it, and he's still young. This is his second year, I believe.
Second year. Yes, second year.
So he's still really green, and I know there's a lot of talent there, and obviously with Big Ben coming back, I think that was a chance. Obviously, the Steelers probably got him for fairly cheap after everything that happened. They're not going to be having to dump a buttload of money into this quarterback, and of course he's going to be Big Ben's backup. Have a good mentor there in Pittsburgh, and I just think it has to do with his talent level. Honestly, I don't think it has anything to do with the fact that he's a black quarterback. I think it has everything to do with the fact that he has talent, and he just needs to get his head on straight. And honestly, he made a big mistake, and who's another quarterback that made stupid mistakes when he was younger, growing up in the NFL, and that's Big Ben. I think that's a perfect fit for Pittsburgh. Uh, if he's good on the field, then that's even better for them. But I think that's a smart pickup for the Steelers.
Yeah, yeah, that brings up a very good point that I hadn't thought about is, that mentoring ability. You take Ben Roethlisberger that had a somewhat troubled past. Not, you know, a, a little bit more than say like a Dwayne Haskins had. But, somebody that's been through something like that is obviously shaking it off, turned into a heck of a quarterback and a good guy. So right, bringing in another troubled quarterback that can learn from Roethlisberger, might have been the right choice. I agree with
Yeah.
that.
All right. Well, we'll move past the players and let's head to this head coaching hire by the Detroit Lions. Uh, I, yeah, I forgot his name off the top of my head now, but
It is Dan. Hold
Dan
on, I had it.
Cummings. Is it Dan Cummings?
I had it all right here. Let's see here. Um, Dan Campbell.
Campbell. Okay. Dan Campbell, new head coach of the Detroit Lions, and if anybody happened to catch his press conference, it was quite comical. But honestly, he has
Watch
that.
those.
He has
Watch
that.
those kneecaps.
Yeah, you got to watch those kneecaps. If you're playing those Detroit Lions. He said they'll chew off a kneecap after you knock them down when they're on their way getting back up. But with his voice, he has that big, deep baritone voice, and I think he's going to have a large presence in that locker room. And honestly, he seems like a guy that I would like to play for. So I can see him having success. I don't know, honestly, I don't know his background. I don't know where he came from, but knowing that he actually played football in Detroit, was a part of the 0-16 team um, back in the early 2000s. He knows the organization, he knows the city. So I know if I was a Detroit Lions fan, I would. They go through head coaches a lot. It seems like, but I think this guy here, I would be excited for if I was a Lions fan.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. A guy that seems to be larger than life. Is a monster of a man. So to speak. So I think, anything that goes on with that team, he'll know exactly what to do to get everything right. It's not going to be a quick fix in Detroit.
No.
They've suffered countless years of losing, basically. Um, so for in order for Coach Campbell to right the ship, this is going to take a couple years, and it's going to be a learning curve for him. He was an assistant coach with New Orleans, so he's coming right over, bringing that winning mentality that New Orleans has had the last decade. So I think that's a very good hire. And just like you said, if you're a Detroit Lions fan, um, you have to feel good about this.
Yes, I agree with that 100%. All right, let's move on. The NFL has been around for 100 plus years, and we have a lot of firsts that have been happening the last 5 years in the NFL. We have women coaches, women officials, and for the first time ever, we will have a woman official in the Super Bowl. Sarah Thomas is going to be the back judge, I believe. side judge or back judge. I forget which one. But
Side
she
judge.
side judge. She'll be the side judge for Super Bowl 55. I think is where we're at. 50 whatever number we're on.
55.
55.
55. Yep. And
Yep.
you are absolutely right. And she is on. She's been a member of the NFL officiating committee for the last handful of years. So a lot of people are excited for her, and I think everything will. I mean, she has a lot to prove. I mean, she's extremely tough. I remember one of her first games in the league, she got ran over by, I believe it was Richard Sherman. And she,
Actually, it's right there.
she
Right there on the screen.
was, is it? I don't know.
That's.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah,
I think
that's
that
right.
was. I
That's
think that
right.
was Toby Gerhart
Yeah, that's
for the
right. Okay.
for the Vikings.
But yeah. Uh, what was her name one more time?
Sarah
Sarah, Sarah,
Thomas.
Sarah Thompson? Sarah
Tom
Thomas. Okay.
Thomas. Yeah.
All right. Okay, Sarah. So if you're listening, just want you to know the beer thinks it's about time. So
So
congratulations on that.
it's about damn time.
Congratulations on that assignment. Congratulations on that assignment.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
Congratulations. That's a big deal in a man's world, and definitely in a man's sport. She's done pretty well, and the best thing about it is that it's they're not making a huge deal about it. It's a big deal, yes, but it's not a huge deal. Let's let her blend in, and that's what they
mm,
have done for the last couple of years when she's been in the league, and that's been honestly that's refreshing because they don't shove it down our throat all the time. It's they want everybody wants equality, and there's nothing more equal than treating her like everybody else, not making a big deal out of it. So I definitely like that, but I'm definitely cheering her on, and congratulations to Sarah Thomas for getting to be in the Super Bowl. She's gonna have one of the best seats in the house.
yeah, exactly right. And you look at the games that she officiates. You honestly cannot tell the difference because you just see her from the back, and you can point her out every now and then because you can see her ponytail poking through her hat.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's I'm extremely happy for her and her
Yeah.
family, and I'm sure they're extremely proud.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's. Do you have any before we head to our championship games? Cover the playoffs. Do you have any fun facts or any tidbits, trivia, anything for the folks?
Well, actually, I have a couple things here, and kind of on a side note, I'm gonna kind of step away from football here for a moment, to
You're
talk
gonna
about
do
the
what?
passing of going to talk about the passing of Hank Aaron. And we on the show it's strictly about football, but every now and then you get a person that transcends sports, and that was Hank Aaron, and he passed away this morning. And the original home run king, Hammer and Hank, and our thoughts and prayers and condolences go out to his family. Definitely a big loss here today for the sports community.
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely a guy who definitely made a name for himself. Hammer and Hank. Yeah, he'll be missed in the baseball world, and also along those same lines, Tony Jones, the offensive tackle for the
Yeah,
two time champ of the Denver Broncos, passed
I
away.
was blown away when I heard that.
Yeah, passed away today at 54 years old. He was the starting right tackle for two of the Denver Broncos championship teams. He started at right tackle for Super Bowl 32 and started at left tackle in Super Bowl 33. He did play 13 seasons in the NFL with the Cleveland Browns, Baltimore Ravens, and the Denver Broncos. He entered the league as an undrafted rookie in 1988. He was known as T-Bone to his Bronco teammates, and he spent the last 4 years of his career with the Denver Broncos, retiring after starting 16 games in the 2000 season at the age of 34. Rod Smith, a former teammate, he says that we lost a great man. Just happened to be a hell of a ball player. We love you and miss you, Bone. One of the Broncos' all-time best tackles, and greatest dresser of all time. So definitely a huge impact uh, to a lot of the Bronco community, as Ed McCaffrey, Steve Atwater, numerous fellow teammates, Gary Zimmerman, um, all had nothing but nice things to say about Tony Jones. But unfortunately, he passed away. Don't have any details on what happened to him, but he was 54 years old. Uh, Gone way too soon.
Yeah, yeah, exactly right. I'm gonna miss you, Bone. He was he was a heck of a player.
Absolutely.
Um, so also, before we go into the conference championship week, I do have a fan question here. Posted it on YouTube just to try to get the word out about me and Big J's podcast. And this question comes from Mark in Missouri, and I actually did not know the full answer to this question. So maybe you do, Big J. But Mark in Missouri asks, what are the 5 questions they ask a player before they go into concussion protocol? Now, honestly, all I knew was the 5th question, which they asked the player, and my understanding of it is you have to answer these 5 questions correct in order to come back into the game and not have to go into concussion protocol. And I know that the 5th question was they ask what was the last play. And I guess that's the question that Patrick Mahomes cannot answer when he got clocked last week against Cleveland. So, Big J, do you know offhand what those 5 questions are?
Um, I have some a little bit of a list, but I've got there's numerous things on here. This is actually from the NFL, and they have 5 questions that they ask for about orientation, and I've actually have 2 different sets of 5 questions, so I have 10 total. But one of them is, or here's one list. What month is it? What is the date today? What is the day of the week? What year is it? And what time is it right now? And that has to be done within an hour of a concussion. And then there's also what's called Maddox questions. And this is all about orientation. It's where are we? What quarter is it right now? Who scored last in the practice or game? Who did we play last game? And did we win the last game? And of course, with Mahomes, that's a pretty easy answer. He can get that one, well, whether he's concussed or not. Uh, that answer will be yes most of the time. But yeah, I know they have a grading scale, but I honestly don't know if any of those are the specific. I know I think there's kind of a list of things, not just 5 basic questions. But I do think that they have kind of a almost like a scoring system, and they have to get a certain amount of points. Unfortunately, this list that I have, it's 2 pages, and it's about the NFL sideline concussion assessment tool. So that's really about immediate checking a player immediately, not in concussion protocol. So let me see if I can actually find anything while we're on the air here. Do you have what was your last one that you said you knew?
Well, I know for sure that that the last question of the 5, because the way I understood it is if the player answers these 5 questions correctly, then he doesn't have to go into concussion protocol. Now, if he misses even just one, then that means he has to go into concussion protocol and therefore cannot return to the game. But I know that the last question they ask is what was the last play.
Okay. Yeah, and I guess what they call it is a SCAT-5. It's a standard concussion assessment tool, and like you said, it's 5 questions. Um, Unfortunately, it doesn't go into detail. It doesn't go into detail as to what those questions are, but they do have 5 steps that they do with a player who is concussed. Um, and number 1 is rest and recovery. Number 2 is light aerobic exercise. Number 3 is continued aerobic exercise or strength training. 4 is football specific activities. And 5 is full football activity and clearance. So, and from what my understanding is that Mahomes did go through their walkthrough on Wednesday, just because Andy Reid said that was basically the step of the protocol that they were in, so that kind of matches up with the light aerobic exercise. I guess the biggest concern isn't really his head; it's more of his toe, which Andy Reid said if he can't run, he won't be playing. And I can almost guarantee you, they can give shots to players to numb the area for a little bit. Um, Cortisone shots. I mean, I've had those myself in my heel when I was in high school, and it definitely lasts for a few hours. But the pain is pretty excruciating once all that wears off. And then they'll have 2 weeks. Obviously, should they beat the Buffalo Bills, they'll have 2 weeks off. But that toe, it won't be 100%, and you have to wonder his mobility won't be 100%. And obviously, if he re-aggravates it, even if he does get a cortisone shot or a painkiller in his toe, I think there's going to be some drawbacks to that, but I honestly don't think they've been keeping it under their hats. I think I'm not sure about the concussion protocol. I don't think that's really what the issue is, though, with Mahomes.
Right. Okay. And I just want to thank Mark for that question.
Yeah, thanks, Mark.
That's
Appreciate
a
it.
that's a really good question. Appreciate you. Appreciate the question, and thanks for commenting on that post. We really do appreciate it.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that was if you want to go ahead and jump right into the Chiefs and Bills matchup, since we're on the topic of Patrick Mahomes, it was made aware today that he finished the last bit of a protocol for a concussion protocol. He has been cleared to play on Sunday. That was made aware after the Chiefs practice. He had to get a outside doctor to clear him to play, and I guess that all was taken care of after the Chiefs' final practice today before their walkthrough tomorrow. So Mahomes is clear to play, but just like you mentioned, Big J, I don't think he had a concussion. I think because he failed to answer that last question correctly, I think the Chiefs felt like they had to put him in concussion protocol. I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
they had to, and it brings you to wonder that if that toe's gonna inhibit him in any reason. But still at the end of the day, say Mahomes is 85%, that's still pretty dang good.
Right. All right. Well, so the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills actually played each other earlier this year. Um, and I don't. Do you have that score with you right now, bro?
Um, I do not. I know it was week
Week
6
6. Yeah. The
of the
Chiefs had
season.
had over 200 yards rushing against the Bills,
Right.
but the Bills
Right.
definitely have improved against the run. And I tell you what, if there's a team that can take down this potential dynasty in Kansas City, I think it's Josh Allen, those Buffalo Bills. I think they have the grit and the determination to get it done. And of course, uh, Josh Allen, he's shown he's cool. He's cool under the collar, man. He's definitely has shown a lot for being such a young quarterback in the league, and he's got a cannon of an arm, and he's mobile. He doesn't have to be though, because that offensive line has been solid for him, especially in the playoffs. I mean, he's barely getting touched. And they played a tough Baltimore team last weekend. Baltimore came into that game with the number one rushing offense in the NFL, and the Bills really shut them down. They forced Jackson to throw the ball, and that was the best thing they could do. And honestly, with Mahomes, whether he's got a head or a toe problem, they're definitely going to try to get some shots on him and make him move around, make him uncomfortable in that pocket for sure. Which obviously that's tough for any quarterback to deal with. But I think the Bills will be adding a lot of pressure on Mahomes and that Chiefs offense.
Right. And that final score in Week 6, I finally found it. It was 26-17, Kansas City,
Okay.
obviously. Um, but one thing that I did notice, I was watching, a little bit of the game film from that Week 6 game in preparation of our talk tonight, and it got me thinking. And you would know off the top of your head, Big J, when Buffalo played the Giants in that Super Bowl. Was it Super Bowl 23, 25? When they played
25.
the
25. 25.
25, right? When they played the Giants. Now, what was the Giants' game plan for that game? It was to basically let Thurman Thomas run all over him, let him beat him, in the attempt to slow down Jim Kelly and that K-gun offense. Am I right?
Yes, that's right. And the
Okay.
Giants' plan on defense was to punish the Buffalo Bills receivers. And Andre Reed had said after the game that he had never been hit so hard.
Right. And it makes you wonder, did Buffalo go into that Week 6 game when Kansas City ran the ball 46 times for, like I said, over 200 yards? Was Buffalo maybe taking that blueprint that worked against them in that Super Bowl 25 years ago, to maybe play that towards Kansas City, because we already know that Le'Veon Bell is going to be a no-go for Sunday. Edwards-Helaire has been limited in practice. He's listed as questionable.
Mm-hmm.
Odds are that a lot of people are saying that he will play. So, is that what Buffalo's going to try to do? Try to limit Mahomes, in any capacity that he's in. Punish those receivers and make Kansas City run the ball to beat Buffalo. Now, if they stick to that game plan, I honestly think that would work. I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
They were
Well,
close in that Week 6 game, and
right.
Obviously, Buffalo was missing key pieces from that defense in that Week 6 game, which they will have on Sunday,
Right.
which should lift the spirits of Bills Mafia all over the place. So, what are your thoughts? Your thoughts on that, Big J?
Well, yeah, I could certainly see that. And if Edwards-Helaire doesn't play, then I think that's a huge shot for the Kansas City Chiefs. And I like that game plan, but you can't be giving up over 200 yards rushing either, because that kind of it worked. They were in the game, and Josh Allen, he will have to play better, obviously. And I think this is where the Bills might have the advantage, because the Chiefs shut down Josh Allen in that Week 6 matchup. That was arguably one of his worst games of the season. The weather conditions weren't great, but Allen completed a season low 51% of his passes for a season low 122 yards, and that was Buffalo's worst offensive performance of the season. And Josh Allen had his second worst passer rating of the year. So, he'll have to do a better job, and obviously the Chiefs had something work right for them in that Week 6 game, but that was a long time ago. The Bills have improved, and I think the Chiefs have kind of been flirting with disaster for quite a while, and I think the Bills can be that team that can definitely push them off the edge of the cliff and really take it to them. But again, there's a lot of questions up in the air with injuries for the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, we know Mahomes is going to play, but if Hilaire doesn't play, I think that factors into the Chiefs' play calling. I think that you're going to see a lot of Tyreek Hill taking short tosses, or even seeing him in the backfield, just because he is such a dynamic player and he is a game changer. If you have number 10 on the field for the Kansas City Chiefs, honestly, I don't think it matters who your quarterback is. You just got to get the ball in his hands, and he's going to make something happen.
Mm, yeah,
But I will say,
exactly
I
right.
will say another thing too about the Bills. They're 11-1 since they lost to Kansas City, and are obviously one of the best teams in the league. But honestly, the season as a whole, that game against Kansas City was one that really stood out for the Bills defense. The 245 rushing yards they gave up to the Chiefs. You know, the Chiefs had the ball for almost 40 minutes of that game. 40 out of 60.
Mm,
That's but the Bills were missing their starting middle linebacker. Um, but ever since he came back, the Bills have held teams to 119 rushing yards per game and allowing just 21 points per game and 343 total yards against teams that are not named Kansas City. Uh, but in that Week 6 game, the Bills allowed 26 points and 466 yards in that Week 6 game.
Mm-hmm.
And then over the last 10 games, the Bills' offense has averaged 34.5 points per game. So Buffalo's definitely a much better team than who the Chiefs saw in Week 6.
Yeah, yeah, exactly right. And it's going to start and end with that Buffalo defense. That Buffalo defense has come on as of late. They've been playing up to expectations. And I think if Buffalo can keep from getting in a shootout with Kansas City, and that means if they play, somewhat more ball-controlled offense, which isn't exactly Buffalo's style, but I do think you'll see Buffalo run the ball a little bit more at the start of this game, as opposed to Baltimore when they started off with 20 straight pass plays.
Right.
I think you'll see Buffalo try to establish the run early and try to make it a little more ball control, because obviously if you're getting first downs and you're milking that clock, you're giving Patrick Mahomes less time on the field, which is exactly what you want.
Yeah.
You want to limit the amount of time that he has the ball, or even is anywhere near the football for that matter. But I think this game is going to be extremely competitive. I'm almost tempted to say that it's going to be a little high scoring, but I think if it does get to be high scoring, I think Buffalo's going to have a problem. I think it's going to be somewhere in the 20s, I would say. Probably pretty close to maybe that Week 6 game, lower 20s. But I think that Buffalo defense shows up to play, and Josh Allen plays like he's been playing all year after Week 6. I think we're in for a really good game.
Well, and another side note with that first matchup between these two teams is Buffalo had originally scheduled to play the Chiefs in Week 5. So the Bills were preparing for the Chiefs, but it got rescheduled because the Titans game. They could remember the Titans had their COVID outbreak, so that caused their schedule to get shuffled. So the Bills had their Week 5 game against the Titans in Nashville moved from a Sunday to a Tuesday, which caused their originally scheduled Thursday night matchup with the Chiefs to be moved to a Monday night. So the Bills were, in essence, preparing for two teams at once. And they didn't look good against Tennessee, and they certainly didn't look good against Kansas City. So I think a lot of that had to do with it as well, just that rescheduling of the game. So that timing certainly affected the Bills. I mean, their offense was horrible in both of those games, but certainly against the Chiefs it was.
Right. And that's a really good point. I mean, and you can make the same case for Kansas City. Well, Kansas City didn't look that bad against Buffalo, and da da da. Well, the amount of playmakers that Kansas City has on their team, it can mask a lot of problems. And until
Right.
you get against a solid team as Buffalo is right now, you may see some of those issues start to come through. If Buffalo is able to, and I honestly think that they're going to match up, one-on-one as safety with Travis Kelce all game long. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of zone defense by Buffalo. I think they're going to line up straight man, put a safety on Travis Kelce, put their best corner on, say, a Tyreek Hill. I know Sammy Watkins is active this week, so he will be playing after he missed last week with an injury. So the Chiefs get another weapon there on their offensive side, but you can flip the script. Look at Buffalo. Buffalo's offense is no slouch. Kansas City's defense isn't really that great. They're kind of middle of the pack.
Right.
Now, what are they going to do against, say, let's say against Stephon Diggs? What exactly again are what will they have game plan for him, and say a Cole Beasley as well?
Yeah,
So
and
you
Cole
look at the
Beasley was,
weapons.
yeah. Go ahead, go ahead.
Okay. You look at, the holes that Kansas City has on defense that they have to cover for the Bills, wide receiver core. Same thing gets turned back around. You got a Tyreek Hill, you got Travis Kelce for Kansas City. How exactly is Buffalo going to, compensate for that? So, contrary to popular belief, that, people say that, these teams aren't really evenly matched. I think they are extremely evenly matched. I think Buffalo's built to beat the Chiefs, and their core group of guys, they're shockingly similar. You can list them off from quarterback all the way down to offensive line.
Yeah.
They're extremely even.
Yeah, and definitely, you mentioned Cole Beasley. He was pretty much a no-show against the Baltimore Ravens, and you know, uh, if the Chiefs somehow, I don't think the Chiefs have the cornerbacks, but if they end up doubling him, obviously Cole Beasley, one of the best slot receivers in the game, he can definitely have a big game against the Kansas City Chiefs. And the Bills obviously like to pass the ball, and you have Josh Allen. I don't blame him one bit. But the weather forecast for the AFC Championship game, of course, as you see on your screen there, 6:40 kickoff Eastern time on CBS. It's cloudy with light rain showers during the morning, and it'll either dry out or some very light rain or drizzle with a northeast breeze at 5 to 15. Temperatures will be near 40 early in the day, dropping to near 34 degrees by the fourth quarter. And there is a chance for snow. And obviously that's where the ground game is going to come into play. Footing is going to be a factor. Real grass, thank heavens. And again, both these games this weekend on real grass in cold weather environments. God, you gotta love that. You gotta love
Yeah,
that.
it's the way it should be.
All right, so go ahead, Beer. Let's let's go ahead and make your prediction. We'll make our predictions now of the AFC Championship game, and we'll cover the NFC Championship game, and then give our prediction after we're done talking about that one.
Okay. Well, like I said, I'm extremely biased. I picked against Kansas City last week, and you take one turnover away from Cleveland. I think that's a different game, and we're talking about a Buffalo Cleveland matchup, which which would be a excellent game as well.
Yeah.
I think Buffalo's finally going to get a little bit of fire back in the Bills Mafia. I think they do win this game, although I think it's going to be a struggle. I think Kansas City's going to open to around a 10-point lead early in the game, very similar to what they did against Cleveland. But I think Josh Allen's going to show that composure and pride and poise that we talked about the last handful of weeks. But I got the Bills in a close one, 24-21.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be a good game. It's going to be fun to watch as a casual football fan, or as a big football fan of not pulling for or not having any stake in either of these games. I'm looking forward to watching both of them for sure. But this one here, I think this game is going to be the game of the week, of the weekend, I should say. The Bills have a legitimate shot, and if the Bills can't do it, I don't know who can. I don't know who can beat the Chiefs, but the Bills definitely have a chance, and they have the firepower to do so. And what'd you say your score was?
24-21 Buffalo.
Okay, yeah, that's a good pick. I think it's going to be perfect football weather, in my opinion. If the field stays dry during the game, I definitely like the Bills' chances against that Kansas City defense. And you never know; they might even try to run the ball more to keep Mahomes off the field, like you had mentioned earlier. But if he seems to be hobbling at all in pregame warmups, then maybe the Bills won't worry about that too much, and they'll just go out there and play their game. And the game, I think, if they come out throwing, and Josh Allen has success early on, then I definitely like the Bills' chances. Obviously, their defense is going to be fired up. They're going to want some redemption after that week 6 when they got ran over 245 yards rushing. I do like the Bills in this one as well. I hate to pick against the Chiefs just because it doesn't seem to help us out. Superstitious and everything. I did pick the Chiefs last week to defeat the Browns. But I do like the Bills' chances in this one, and I'm gonna go 30-20 in favor of the Buffalo Bills.
Wow, a 10-point edge. I like it. I like it. So
All right.
we're gonna switch gears, head over to the NFC now. Classic matchup. What can be better? You got two of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play in our era, with Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. That bad man, Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
I'm going to start off this before we get into the meat and potatoes of this game here, Big
Making me
J.
hungry.
But I got a question for you. Game on the line. You're down by 6 points. Need a touchdown. 2 minutes left in this game. Who you taking, Brady or Rodgers?
Oh man. Yeah, as they sit right now, I think I want Rodgers. If you ask me, Tom Brady from 5 years ago, I would take Tom Brady. But honestly, Rodgers, I don't know, he has something about him. He can manipulate the defense in ways that just blow my mind. And he's still mobile, and he just has a way of finding the open receivers. Tom Brady isn't nearly as mobile, so I definitely like Aaron Rodgers over Tom Brady as of those two right now, this very moment.
Gotcha. And you look at Aaron Rodgers. You watched that clip before that touchdown pass to Devontae Adams against the Rams, and you see Aaron Rodgers walk up to the line, making his pre-snap reads, and he's got a smile on his face because he knows he's got him. He knows he's got Devontae Adams up that left seam for a touchdown. Before the ball snapped, he knows it. He knows he has him in the right defense.
Yeah.
And the amount of confidence that Aaron Rodgers has this year, I don't know what it is, but this year for the Packers just seems different. And I don't know if it's just me or not, but it just feels different. Just the way the Packers have been playing, the way Aaron Rodgers has been playing, probably going to be the MVP this year. And he's earned it. The guy is just such a joy to watch. Just the way that he, just his throwing motion. Something as simple as that is just so fluid. And it's almost poetic.
Yeah.
To watch him move the ball down the field, and Tom Brady's no slouch. You got to give him props. Taking a team like Tampa Bay that has had some success last handful of years, he changes systems, new head coach, new team, new colors, and he's got him right back in the NFC Championship game.
Yeah,
It just goes to show you.
Yeah, it's been 12 years since the Bucks have been in the playoffs, and Tom Brady was their biggest piece. Obviously, with Tom Brady going there, and they got some other pieces that wanted to go and play with him. Obviously, you got Gronk back. You got what the hell's his name? Brown.
Antonio Brown.
Antonio, thank you. I couldn't remember his first name. I was wanting to say Anthony, but yeah, Antonio Brown. So they definitely just having Tom Brady there. It's amazing that guy can do what he's done, taking a team that hadn't been in the playoffs for 12 years, and he's got them one game away from the Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly right.
And then
not much better.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to change it. I was going to change the subject. Go ahead, though. Continue.
Okay. I would almost prefer if this game was if this game was a nightcap game. I think it would maybe add a little bit. I know they had talked about 20-mile-an-hour winds or gusts there at Lambeau Field this weekend. So it goes back to to show you which one of these two quarterbacks, has the ability to throw in, gusty conditions. Um, Brady, maybe doesn't have the zip like he used to, say a handful of years ago. But I think Aaron Rodgers has thrown the ball as well as he ever has. But you got 12 versus 12. I mean, what could be better than that?
Yeah. Yeah, and the weather forecast for Sunday's NFC Championship game, there's a 100% chance of snow early in the day, and then just a few lingering snow showers later in the day for the game. High of 29 degrees. Light winds are forecasted for the game, is what it is showing right now. And of course, we're still a couple days away, so a lot can change with the weather. But I'd say it looks like it's going to be. It won't be too cold, and hopefully there is some snow. There's nothing better than football in January in a cold weather stadium like Green Bay. That's just and on real grass, obviously, that's just adds so much to what those of us that are in our 30s and 40s when we started watching football when we were kids. Obviously being a fan of the Broncos, we got to see plenty of games in the cold and snow, and we've always had real grass, and that just kind of takes you back to when I was a kid. And I think that's how I watch these games that are on real grass in cold weather places. I get all giddy and excited for them. But
Oh yeah,
the Tampa Bay Buccaneers
absolutely.
also have an opportunity to do something that's never been done before, and that is play the Super Bowl in their home stadium. A win,
Right.
a win in Green Bay, and they will be the first team to ever play the Super Bowl in their home stadium.
Right. Right. Exactly right. And I lost my train of thought. What the heck I was going to say? Oh, and also these two teams faced again, and just like I said earlier, it's almost poetic. You have the chance of Buffalo getting redemption on Kansas City. They faced each other Week 6. Tampa Bay and Green Bay also faced each other Week 6, and one of Aaron Rodgers' worst games of his career happened in that Week 6 game against Tampa Bay, a utter defeat, 38-7, at the hands of the Buccaneers, where Aaron Rodgers threw 2 interceptions. Just something, again, kind of like what we talked about last week about Drew Brees. He's not used to throwing. We don't see him throw interceptions. I think he only has 60 or 70 total or career interceptions in his career, and he's been playing since '05.
Yeah.
Good Lord. We just don't see it happen. But he threw 2 against Tampa Bay. So yeah, keys to the game for this one. Obviously, Tampa's going to bring pressure, but I think Rodgers is going to know he's going to be a little more prepared for it, say, than he was in a Week 6. Whatever exotic blitz packages that Todd Bowles is going to draw up. I think Green Bay is going to rely a little more on the fast passing game, some shorter routes with Devontae Adams. He is he's almost unguardable. He's such a force in the passing game, and Green Bay's defense has been playing out of their mind as of late. So they may cause some problems with Tom Brady. Tampa Bay, may not be used to playing in the cold, but somebody who is Tom Brady, playing all those years in New England. It doesn't get much colder than that. But
Very true,
this game is going to be so.
Yeah, you also have to keep in mind, he spent the last 8 or 9 months in Tampa Bay, and that blood gets a little bit thinner. And of course, him, Brady being in his 40s, that cold weather feels a little bit colder than what he's going to remember, I'm sure. But 29 degrees with a light wind is what it's predicted right now for the game. That's, to me, that's perfect football weather right there. You all right over there? COVID. Get that mask on. I don't want to catch it through the PlayStation here.
Yeah, I got a bit of the COVID.
But I tell you what, it's as much as everybody's going to look at this as Tom Brady versus Aaron Rodgers, I think the biggest the I think the deciding factor of this game is going to be Aaron Rodgers versus that Tampa Bay defense. That Tampa Bay defense shut down Drew Brees in that passing offense last week. Um, and it's going to be a tougher task for them against Green Bay's receivers, and because Aaron Rodgers can make plays with his legs, off schedule. So, I think that's going to be a key matchup. And but the Packers, they played the Rams last week, and the Rams have one of the best defenses in the league, and they made them look, ordinary basically. So there's no doubt that the Packers can do it. Um, just because they've proven that they can, even just last week. So I expect this one to be a good game as well. Um, I think a lot of people are picking this one to be a fairly close fight. And I know most of the country is on the Packers to win this game. It's an easy pick because Tampa Bay and their history, which I know doesn't mean a dang thing, has always struggled playing road games in weather colder than 40 degrees. That's a track record that's been proven, and I don't hold any stock to that. In all honesty, I think it's going to be a fun game to watch. Um, and I mean, you got two really good quarterbacks, and the game the best two that the game has seen in a really long time, and it's going to be a fun game to watch. But I do like the Packers. I think the Packers are going to pull this one out. My score, I'm going to put. Let's see. I'm going to say 27-23 Green Bay.
Ooh, that is a toughie. I got Green Bay 31, Tampa 28. I think this game is going to be very similar to last week with Tampa and New Orleans. I think Green Bay is going to control the game. For the majority of the first quarter. I think second half is going to come around. I think we're going to see vintage Brady. You have a great quarterback like that. You can't keep him down for 60 minutes. I think Tom's going to bring his guys back, but I think a late drive by Green Bay puts it out of reach. But yeah, I got the Pack winning at home. In Rodgers' first ever NFC Championship game at Lambeau, 31-28.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot to mention that. Good memory there. Yeah, it's pretty surprising. Aaron Rodgers been in the league this long and has been successful as he has been. This is his first home NFC Championship game, so it's pretty interesting to see. A lot of good stories between both of these games. With Tampa Bay and the Super Bowl being in Tampa, Aaron Rodgers hosting his first ever NFC Championship game. Both stadiums could be seeing some weather at game time or during the game. And you got two high-powered offenses in the AFC going up against two legendary quarterbacks in the NFC. So I think it's going to be a fun game to watch. I even hate to give it to Green Bay because I could totally see Tom Brady having success. I'm not sure. I don't know that Green Bay's defense is all that stout. Of course, they did look fairly good against the Rams, but the Rams held around a lot longer in that game than I expected them to. But yeah, it's. I think what you saw with Aaron Rodgers throwing those interceptions, I don't see him making those same mistakes again. And I think that's what it's going to boil down to is Aaron Rodgers versus that Bucs defense, and I like Aaron Rodgers in that matchup.
Right, and I mean, just to talk about that more, just like you were saying, I think both of these games are labeled as toss-ups. You can see one going one way, just a minor, a minor tweak to something, you can see the other team, pulling out the victory. And I think the same thing goes for both the NFC and the AFC sides, in this game. And this is what playoff football is all about. You got two evenly, really four. I think you got four out of the five best teams in the NFL right now, and they've all made it to their respected conference championship games. I think we're in for one heck of a conference Sunday here from the NFL. Really looking forward to it.
And as of right now, the the Green Bay Packers are a 3.5 point favorite. The Green Bay and the over and under is 51.5 points. So that pretty much puts us right where we're at with our picks. Let's see. The Packers are 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 home playoff games, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 playoff contests as underdogs. So that right there makes it even more of an even matchup as well. But Aaron Rodgers, like you said, he's playing at MVP caliber, and I just think he's hitting on all cylinders, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be such a fun game to watch. I'm definitely looking forward to both these games. But that first game, I think that's going to give us that's going to be the appetizer to our main feast for Sunday night. But I think both games are just going to be so much fun to watch as football fans because both matchups are so exciting. It's going to be a great weekend of football.
Absolutely. And one thing that I forgot to mention earlier when we were talking about Buffalo and Kansas City, that if Josh Allen is able to outduel Patrick Mahomes, they have so much to play for, being Josh Allen and Buffalo, and that would include Josh Allen in that conversation, with one of the elite quarterbacks, gets him in that same topic of a Patrick Mahomes, and we can sit here right now, speculate about the future. But if Josh Allen is able to outduel Mahomes Sunday, it makes you wonder. These two guys are going to go back and forth, say over the next 10 years or so. But then people are going to start leaving out. Well, you know what? What about Lamar Jackson?
Yeah.
What about Deshaun Watson?
Yeah.
It's almost comical to think about it that Josh Allen made all these strides from last year to this year, and he's leapfrogging those guys. You look at Lamar Jackson, MVP last year. This year got his first playoff victory. Tall task against Buffalo. Ended up getting hurt and falling short. And then you have everything that we talked about earlier about Deshaun Watson, which is just pitiful, in my opinion. But I mean, this could be the start of one of those one of those great rivalries. Given that Buffalo and Kansas City both in the AFC, obviously, this could be the start of, say, another rivalry that ranks up there with, say, a Manning versus Brady, or something like that, or a Elway versus Kelly, or Elway versus Marino. Some rivalry like that. So this could be just the foundation of a lot of good football to come over the next decade.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, you mentioned those old quarterbacks, John Elway, Jim Kelly, Dan Marino. Hey, here. Let me throw you a couple trivia questions that just popped in my head. How many times did John Elway play either Dan Marino or Jim Kelly in the AFC Championship game? How many times did Elway play either of those two in the championship game? Conference championship.
In the conference championship game, I can only remember once for Marino, and I want to say once against Kelly in '91. I don't know if that's right. Is that right?
Only once. John Elway and the Broncos traveled to Buffalo. I believe it was 1992. In a cold and windy day in Buffalo. I still remember that game. And the Bills won. Basically, the only touchdown of the game was a pick six when Elway got hit as he was throwing the ball, and a defensive lineman caught it in midair and returned it for a touchdown. 10-7 was that score. And as far as I can think, that is the only time that John Elway matched up against either Jim Kelly or Dan Marino in the AFC Championship game. Elway did play Marino in the divisional round.
Yeah, that was divisional. That's what I was thinking of.
The divisional round and in the late '90s, but not in the AFC Championship game.
Right.
All right. So here's another trivia question for you. All right, Tom Brady. Tom Brady is no stranger to playing in conference championship games. He holds the record for the most starts in a conference championship game. What? How many conference championship games has Tom Brady started in, including the one Sunday?
Including the one Sunday?
Including the one on Sunday.
Well, he's been in 9 Super Bowls, so that's 9 there.
And let's just
And the
say,
two,
and let me
two he
go ahead and
lost
throw
to
this tidbit out here. This won't give anything away. It's not even a hint, but he does have twice as many conference championship appearances as Joe Montana.
Uh, well, I would say this one, counting the one on Sunday, I want to say 12. 12 or 13.
Well, you're
I'll
close.
say 12.
You're close, but you're short. This will be his 14th start. And now imagine this
Wow.
guy's been in the league for what, 17 years, and 1 year he got taken out when he blew his ACL against the Chiefs in Week 1, so he didn't play that year. But you take that year away, and whatever it is, 16 seasons, however many Brady has played in, 14 times he has played in in the conference championship game, and with the New England Patriots, he went 13 times, and then went to 9 Super Bowls, and obviously walked away with 6 rings. So it's unbelievable what this guy's doing. I mean,
That's crazy.
yeah, at the time, I remember back in the day, I really disliked the Dallas Cowboys, but after Michael Irvin, Emmitt Smith, Troy Aikman, all those guys left, and I look back on those games now, I have so much respect for how good all those guys were, how good those teams were, and I enjoy watching highlights from those games from back in the '90s with the Dallas Cowboys, and I kind of have. Didn't really like him in Green Bay, but I've been secretly rooting for him for Tampa just because he did everything he could do for the New England Patriots, to be able to sign players and taking pay cuts and this that, and then to actually walk away and then go to an NFC team and take them to the NFC, one game away from the Super Bowl. It's pretty remarkable what this guy's done. Obviously, like you said, a brand new team, brand new system, brand new coach, brand new everything for him, and it's like he hasn't missed a beat.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly right. I mean, he's 43 years old and still doing it at a extremely high caliber, and I doubt we'll get anybody that's even remotely close to that number. When you have the likes of say a Joe Montana, and everybody that's come after Big Joe. It was said that nobody could catch Montana, and then obviously here is Tom Brady and his body of work that's lasted 20 some years in the NFL, and that the Super Bowl appearances, the conference championship games, that might be something that nobody can even remotely come close to. But yeah, just goes to show when you have the right guy, you got a good coach. Obviously he had one of the best coaches to ever do it in his time in New England with a Bill Belichick, and it's just incredible. We have we are privileged, I think, to watch these two guys go at it on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely.
It'll be great.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we're going to do something a little fun here, just because we can. But we're going to do the NFL simulator and see which team the computers pick to come out on top. So we're going to go with the Green Bay Packers as the home team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as the road team, and it's only going to run one simulation. Most of them, when they run a simulation that you'd have to pay for on Sportsline, they do 10,000 simulations. So we're just going to do one and just see what happens to come up. Oh, well, that can't be right. The NFL game simulator predicts the final score: Packers 38, Buccaneers nothing. Not buying that one, my friends.
Nah, I don't think so.
All right, let's go ahead and do the Kansas City Chiefs at home versus the Buffalo Bills. And our score: Kansas City Chiefs 12, Buffalo Bills 20.
Wow.
Oh, actually, I take that back. They do numerous simulations. The Bills and Chiefs matchup is 7,297 number of simulations, and 292 of those times they went to overtime. But more times than not, the Chiefs won. But this simulation here has it the other way around. So that's pretty fun. That's fun to mess with. You have to check that out. I think it's NFLGameSim.com. You can plug in any team and any from any year and match them up against each other. And see what the simulated score would be. It's pretty fun to mess with when you have some downtime. But anyways, yeah, that's we can't say enough how exciting we are for this weekend's games. Unfortunately, we don't have a dog in the hunt, if you will. But as a football fan, this is going to be a great weekend of games. And then, of course, the Super Bowl is going to be at the new sombrero. As old Chris Berman would say, there in Tampa, real grass. You got to love football on real grass. It doesn't get any better than that. Hopefully we have good weather for that game, but hopefully we get a little bit of snow for one of these two games. Hopefully the one in Green Bay, that's our best chance. But yeah, so it's definitely going to be fun. We have our picks in. Let's go over them one more time. The Beard picks Buffalo over the Chiefs 24-21. I picked the Buffalo over the Chiefs 30-20. Beard has the Green Bay Packers defeating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 31-28, and I have the Packers beating the Buccaneers 27-23. And if you actually look at that score, because the Packers are favored by 3.5 points, you have the Packers covering, which they're 5-1 in home playoff games. You have the Packers covering. I have the Buccaneers. Actually, I take that back. You have the Buccaneers covering, and they're 4-1 in road playoff games, and I have the Packers covering, who are 5-1 in home playoff games. So pretty interesting stat there that I just noticed, that I have a 4-point spread and you have a 3-point spread, and that real spread is 3.5 points. So I'd say we're right on par there.
Yeah, I think so.
That's what I like to call an FF, a fun fact.
Absolutely.
Well, you got anything else on the slate for us, Beard?
Well, I only have one thing, and just like it's custom here on every episode of the Playmakers, we close up with talking about our Denver Broncos. The only thing that's really noteworthy that has happened here over the last week since our last episode is our great offensive coordinator and head coach, Gary Kubiak, decides to retire from the NFL after a combined, I believe, 30-plus years in the NFL. Backup quarterback and roommate to a friend of the show, John Elway, for many, many years, and also filled in for offensive coordinator there during Denver's repeat in Elway's final 2 years. Returned to Mile High stardom in 2015 and took over the reins for John Fox, and was able to bring Denver back to a world championship in Super Bowl 50, which was also Peyton Manning's final year. And also, just another fun fact, there has been 2 quarterbacks that have retired after winning a Super Bowl. Who are those 2 quarterbacks? Actually, I just named them. So.
Well, we know. Well, we know John Elway for sure. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So we know John Elway and Peyton Manning, both members of the Denver Broncos. So a little fun fact there for all you Bronco fans out there. Goes to something to tell you, if you want to end your career the right way, just go ahead and come to Denver.
Head to the Mile High City.
Uh, but anyway, yeah, just in closing, Kubiak, he was a great guy, great coach, great mentor. Um, he was a big reason Denver went back to Super Bowl 50 and won. Great mind for the game. I know he had a handful of health concerns. That's the reason why he retired from coaching. Spent the last 2 seasons as the offensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings. But yeah, I just want to wish Coobs the best of luck in his next phase of his career, whatever that may be. If it's just downtime or if he's got something new on the horizon, I know he'll be great at it and have nothing but success. And just just a great piece of Denver Broncos history.
Absolutely, yeah. Coobs, we love you, buddy, and we'll definitely miss seeing you on the sidelines. But I'm sure he won't be a stranger to the NFL games. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
All right, so that wraps up our Friday night edition. Just in the nick of time here in Central Time. Just in the nick of time. Otherwise, we'd be talking into tomorrow. Uh, so for the beard, I am Big J. Thank you for joining us here on Brofest Productions. I am Big J.
And I am the Beard. Thank you all for joining us on another episode of The
Playmakers. This has been a production of Brofest Radio. Thank you for joining us.